Some old silver, one of them from possibly the 17th century. We'll start with this spoon. I did this spoon, part of it, when I did the tea caddy. Now this spoon was made in the 1680s by Timothy Gerrish of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and he made his spoons and his other silver items, like most people in this country, coin silver, not sterling. And this is going to be hard to focus, but we'll try. And there you see the initials, M and H. I believe that's M and H. Have to look. Now, this is a wedding spoon. M married H, and their last name begins with an N. Now, if you see a spoon where you see two initials, like JL and say KB, and then a date underneath it, that is a spoon given to someone that was born. And the initials are for the baby, the giver, and the date of the birth. Thus the old saying, you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth. This is a nice old coin silver. Turn it around. We'll go the other way. And as you see, a beautiful scallop shell. Scallop shells were very, in the late 16th or late 17th century and 18th century, boy, the scallop shell was carved in just about everything. And then his initials are there. So this is a nice late 18th century spoon. Now the next one that I have is British. This is sterling. It's called a rat tail spoon, and it's from the 1730s. Notice I'll bring the other one over. Notice the shape of the bowl is different. It's more rounded. This one comes more like egg-shaped, which has now been retained even to this day. This one here is more round, and the older you get, the more round or circular the bowls become. This is a rat tail spoon because that's the rat tail, and on the back there's the rat tail through the back of the bowl. So this is a sterling or British, and this one has a crest on it. Not sure how close I can get. Let's see how close we can get. Not very close. But there is a crest. And a crest was at the top of a coat of arms, a family coat of arms. So you can't put a coat of arms on a spoon, it's not enough room, so you put your family crest. So no initials, because the crest represented your family. Not sure how much I can get that. So it's a nice, I have to look beyond but I can't get it to focus. Sometimes these cameras aren't so great. But a nice lion in the typical pose. Lions are big in English. Furniture and silver, etc. So a nice crest. Then we go on to sugar, or teat nips they call them. This is British again, sterling. All of these are marked. And as you see there, another crest, except a lion in a crown. And these are, you can see the bowl, and again, the shell motif. Now what these were used for is sugar back then came in cones, solid cones, not like we have today, granulated. And in order to break the pieces off, and they were much harder than sugar cubes are, you had to have these like pliers, and you would cut pieces off and break them up. Now, no piece was of the same size like sugar cubes are today. So every time you had a cup of tea or coffee, you had to judge how much you wanted. And you would just take the tea nips, they call these nips. And instead of using your fingers, you would grab a thing of sugar and drop it in your tea. And these are cast. Each side is cast separately, so when you look at something like these opposites, they're slightly different, even though it's the same mold, because silver would flow slightly differently each time. See, that's a little bit different than that, though it's the same mold, same with that. These are all hand cast. And there again is the crest. You always want to get these with a crest. Most of the time you'll get initials of the family, just like the first spoon I showed you. Now the second rarest thing I own are these. This is a pair of late 1600s, the first sugar tongs. And why they look like that is because back then, next to the fireplace, you had what was called andirons, tongs. And they were about 2 feet long, maybe 30 inches long, and you would go to the fireplace and you could use your hand and, like this, and grab coals and move the coals around as you wish. Or if your neighbor had his fire went out, you could grab some coals, put them in a bucket, and go over his house. He could start his fire. They didn't have matches. And it looked exactly like this, even with that little piece right here, the decorative piece. They looked exactly like that. So someone eventually said, hey, if we miniaturize them, we can move our sugar better. And that's what they did. This, I believe, is Britannia silver, which is 95.8% silver. Sterling is 92.5%. Britannia silver was roughly late 1600s to about 1720. Though this does not state what kind of silver it is. There is a maker's mark. I have to see where it is. Right there. That's a maker's mark. And what makes these, not only, these are very difficult to get. I've only seen a few. What makes this very special is that it too has a crest on it. And I'm going to take this away for a minute. Now we probably won't be able to see the crest on this one. But this has a tree and a crown. And I did find some names of people living in England that had this as their crest. A number of people. Don't think I can get it very good. It's too bad. Sometimes it's just, these cameras are just not so great for this close-up work, but these are very, very rare. So that's the second most rarest thing that I own. Most likely, as I said, Britannia silver, which has its own hallmarks, but not everything was hallmarked, especially this early. So those are my little silver collection. Also to state, back in this day, when these spoons were made in the 1730s, now today when we do a place setting, this is how we do it. Back then, this is how they did it, upside down. That's why the crest is there. So you could see the crest. That's why the crest is there, facing you. That's how it was done. But eventually, it went this way. But I believe, if you live in France, even to this day, it's set that way. That would be all, that would be forks included. Upside down, no idea why. But a small little collection of silver. These would have been used at the tea table, as the woman of the house would be hosting a tea. And these things would be there, along with, of course, the other things, cups, saucers. So, just a small collection of old silver in history. Thanks for watching.